For example, I worked for different products. Sometimes the first project I was involved, the big project, was a satellite development. So as you said, there were some requirement documents, hundreds of pages. But in some other software development projects, you don't have any documentation at all. So it depends on not only the culture, but lots of different aspects. So if we try to examine the effects of culture, we have to make this distinction.
Yeah, and one thing I also noticed is that what often matters also is the origin of the company. So what the same company in different countries may have a lot in common, and like Volkswagen in Germany and Volkswagen in, I don't know, other countries, they have a lot of process in common, and they work almost the same way as if they all were in Germany. And it applies to different countries, and companies as well. So that people kind of take on these cultural patterns and kind of adjust to the working culture. And that's also interesting because it could feel like you're working in a different country even though you didn't move.
I agree. I agree. I have a similar situation right now. For example, the company I'm working for is originally an American company. So it is not similar to traditional Japanese companies at all. I have a completely different experience from my friends working for traditional Japanese companies. So, as you told, even though it is in Japan, the origin matters more, I guess. I agree on
What's
this.
interesting here is that I think we mentioned, but not mentioned, we approached one problem from different angles. It's where managers bring certain practices to companies, not properly thinking through if these practices match the company culture, the company size, the company domain, and the company country where the office is opened. Like I've seen so many times where people, CTOs, especially immature CTOs, bring to little startups processes like grading of engineers or processes of performance reviews. The startup is like 10 people and they copy this huge process from Google or any other army size company where you have hundreds of thousands of people and some order must be brought to this chaos, otherwise the whole company will just collapse. And what I think is very important in what I do, what Maria does, what you do, what Anupam does, is that we try to bring some, at least, hint that there is some human side, cultural side in how you build your processes. Because I'm sure, Masood, that with stricter hierarchies, historically based stricter hierarchies, the processes should be different. If you want to move faster, you need to allow people to fail sometimes and not feel as if they have to commit seppuku. I'm sorry. This is not something you want to have, right? You want to have people who want to fail sometimes, to have some fail budget. And how to introduce that? You can't just say, oh, dear people, you can fail, it's all right. You can't just say we have a failure budget or a bug budget or a downtime budget. People will not commit to that because they haven't grown to accept this new culture. Then again, it's interesting that so many companies want to instill certain culture, but they have turnover of like 10% per year. So 10% of the whole company leaves within each year. How are you supposed to have a culture growing in people if you have people leaving so much? While what I've read about Japan is that people do stay in companies for a long period of time. So you can help them adopt to your culture that you're trying to instill. So yeah, my idea is that it's really cool to share knowledge on the cultural differences, on the historical differences, on the mentality difference, if there is some mentality difference, so that managers can think better, can at least learn where to read about certain things, so that when they introduce practices, they introduce them in a more conscientious way.